So in this video, we're going to carry on with the DNA web design series, and we're going to carry on with the Angel 6 website that we're doing as the template. So I'm in a new folder, and I just type new template fabric.modern1 to get the website where we last did it. Now, I did a tiny bit outside the video a while back just to start moving on the website. So I added this little hello part. So when you scroll down for the first time, it fades in. So I'll quickly just talk over what I did there, because that's, like I say, already made. It's only small and simple. So to do that, I added a section with a class name, obviously, single vCenter. So if we haven't already used that, which we have here, so we've already got the single vCenter class from the mascot banner, so you know what that one is. My name is container will be in the SAS Modern 1 home, and we have all the mascot stuff we've already done, mascot code we've already done, and then I just added this bit here. So we have a background color of the theme color, which is already set. And then the header, if we open this on a separate side so you can see both, we have the, I think we can also zoom the text, there we go. So we have the My Name Is section that's got your normal grid wrapper, single grid, single column. So that's like your single full width grid like we've done for the one above. And then in here we have the header style, which is for, let me just open this up. Line height. So the line height one is to get the text spacing like this. So we were to move line height 1, for example, and then you'll see the default text is a lot closer. So line height 1 brings that in, and I've commented this as usual so you can see. Text align center, so this aligns central. Then the header, each line of text is a header. We make this font a lot larger. So again, if we didn't have large font, then a normal header size is this, which is, way too small. We set the color to the bright color, which is this color. And then the mark that we do, which is here, we set to the neutral white color. So we save that, then that's all there was to it. So that was how simple it was to make that. You'll notice though, when we scroll down, we get this nice animation fade in. So to do that, I just made, again, a really small and simple JavaScript class here, using the helpers that we've already got, the onload, the for each. And we first get any element that has data scroll into view, and then for each we fade them out, which is something we'll change in a minute. We'll improve on this. And then every time the page scrolls, we get the position of the page. We keep track of whether we scroll down or up based on if the new position's further down than the last position, if you will. And then if we've scrolled down for each item, as in each item that's got data scroll into view tagged onto it, we then check if it contains the class that it wants to, which is the value of that attribute. If it's already got the class, you ignore. Otherwise, if the item's scrolled past 25% of the view of the web page, the size of the web page, then we add the class that's in there. So in short, and to actually see that happening, we have data scroll into view here on the header. So every time this header scrolls 25%, so about here on the website, so about this line sort of here, and we can see when we reload there. So we scroll, and once the header's, 25% up from the bottom, so it's now within 25% of the screen's height, it will then get a class added to it, and the class will be whatever we put as the name of the attribute there. So it's very similar to the, the other things we've done, the delay data add. That's why I kind of did that bit. There was no point doing that in the video. It's nice and simple. So other than that, that's the initial, the slight change in work that I've done to give, that. And then obviously the class that gets added, sliding up group. If we just do sliding up group and search for it, you'll see we have a style here that we made with basically the group, so the class itself, which is this, the header, then every item, so any kind of item, extends a slide-in up. So every item inside of it becomes position relative, becomes hidden, and then plays the fade-in animation. And then the forward keeps the property at the end, so it stays faded in even though the opacity is 0. And then for each item, based on the nth child, we delay the start of the animation by a different amount. So for example, this one is nth child of 1, so this will delay by 0.1 seconds. The next one will obviously be this one, so that's why you get the staggered effect of when we load, you should see it, that loads, then that loads. So if we were to change these delay times, which we will, let's change this to say 2 seconds and make it really obvious. If we scroll down now, that fades in, 2 seconds later that fades in. So we're using the classes there as the delays. So I'm actually going to tweak these to be a bit more exaggerated as well so we see them. So the first one comes in straight away, then we'll have a almost half-second delay, and then kind of 0.2 second delays between others. So that's all there is to that. Like I said, there's nothing difficult there, nothing you shouldn't understand based on the last videos. So we've done that bit. The next part now is to do this area. I'm not really a fan of this colour now, it blends too much with the writing, so I'm just going to keep it all dark for now. So we'll need this AngelSix logo, which I have, that I can copy and paste in. And if we go to WebRoot, Assets, Images, I'll paste in the logo text it's called. So we have that in ready to apply. We've gone through the animating file, but we also want to, as I mentioned, fix this file to do something slightly different, or generally I'll add something to this file in this video so you see it, but we won't make use of it in this actual video. So if we were to, for one, I don't like the fact that this data scroll and view could be anything. So it's a nice modular class almost, that simply you want, when something's tagged with this, to add this class to the element. So again, I forgot to show you that part. If we press F12, reload the page, and inspect the my name is part, which is the header inside. So this header here has a scroll into view. You'll watch now when we scroll into view and keep an eye on this class here. You'll see it adds the sliding up group. So that's what's being done. That's the the point. But it's not necessarily saying that we expect, as the JavaScript is, to fade every element in, because we might want to scroll into view and do something like shake something. So adding this here to say every item that has a faded class, I want to remove. That's a presumption that we don't want to make. Otherwise, it's not as generic as we want it to be. Then we will want to make this bit more flexible here. So where it's 25% into view, the user might want to change that to a different value as well. So instead of doing that, let's just do if user specifies a specific client height offset, use it. So var specific offset equals, and then get attribute, and we'll call this data scroll into view offset. So we can add an attribute to change the percentage, and that'll be a percentage of 0 to 100 of the view height, or it can be anything, it can be above that technically, but that'd be pointless. So if we said data scroll into view 50, then it wouldn't load until it was 50% into the page. So that'll add a flexibility there. We'll get back the item bounds. Get client rect, I think it is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's that. And now finally we'll do, if we specified a specific offset. So we've specified offsets greater than 0. Then we want to do if the item bounds dot top plus the item bounds.height times the percentage, which is specific offset divided by 100. So as mentioned, if we said 50 there, then 50 divided by 100 is 0.5. So then 0.5 times the height is half the height of the item. So that basically means then if half of the item is, half of the item plus where it starts, obviously, is then above, that's how we'll work out that position. If that is less than the viewport height, which should be our helper function, then we know we've scrolled in more than 50%. So if the item has scrolled up past the percentage of the page in specified offset, then we'll show you this in action. It's easier to see it in action than do that. Then if it was right, we'd add the desired class. So that's if the user specifies an offset. If not, otherwise use the default of, in fact, we can simplify this. Well, no, it's just as simple in here. Or is it? No, it's actually simpler to, I was going to do it one way, let's change it. So if the user hasn't specified an offset, set it to 25%. So if specified offset, so if not specified offset is greater than 0, just to be double sure that if it's not a number, this will still fail, then specified offset equals 25%. That's simpler logic, and now we don't need that. Now it's just, we have the value and we can set it there. So that cleans up that part of it, that when we scroll down, that should happen. So let's just check we haven't broke anything. So when we scroll down now, oh, we have broke something. Yeah, so, oh, I say we've broke something, we technically haven't when it's 25% and it fades up. But as I mentioned, we now remove the faded class, so now we expect it to have, you know, a specific class to handle the fact that it doesn't have that. So we need to add in our class here, data scroll into view, because this is, you know, specific to, like I say, we can have this as doing anything and being any class now. So let's do add a class by default called will. What should we call it? Will slide up, say. And we will add that to probably the animation in Fabric, probably bake it in, because this is a baked in animation anyway. So we have the where is it? I think it's in here. Yeah, oh, there we go. So we have the sliding up here has baked into the framework anyway. So we might as well add here a class that says will slide, in fact will slide in up, we'll call it, so it matches the slide in up. Will slide in up as a default class, and then by default that will be, we'll do it extend the faded, so it is still faded, and we also want it to fade in nicely, so we'll do a transition on the opacity, so we get a nice fade effect, and we'll use the transition normal that we have, and that should now by default have that class if I've saved the file. There we go, and fade in up. So that's now working as it was basically, but cleaned up a bit. And we could, for example, to show you that new feature and work, if we say data slide into view offset equals 90 and save, it should pull that in now and not fade in until almost completely up. We could do maybe 100, so it should be technically not fading until the whole thing's in view. Okay, so that isn't actually working. Let's take a quick look at that. unless I've just specified the wrong value. Just do that. So it's 100, so it's getting that value. If it's not, or let's prove this logic. If we could probably do what the value is. Like, we can actually check if it's null if we do the proper check. So if value, I still think that's the correct way of doing it. If value is not that. Yeah, we'll keep it like that. So our check here, for some reason, is invalid. So let's just do console.debug. Let's output the item bounds.top. Item bounds dot, and then we'll put this one out as well. And then the third one will be the viewport height. And let's just see what's going on with the values. And we hit this, we go to console and scroll. So you can see the three values. So you got 759 is the item's top, which should change. So that's getting further and further up, like, you know, closer to the top, which is fine. So that bit's right. The height times the percentage of the offset, which is the height. So that's saying the height is always fixed. So pretty sure that's fixed. Yeah, so the height never changes. And the height of the item is 100 divided by 100 is 1 times the height. So that should be height. Put 4 out a second. Let's double check the height. So yeah, so the height is 256. So if we inspect that and confirm, go to inspector, computed, and the height is not that. Click there. Oh yeah, so the height's there, 256. So we have the right height. So we've got this item, and we have the right height there. So we've got the top, we've got the height, which if we change the percentage on here to say 50, we should see 50% of the height coming in now. So 128. So yeah, that logic's right, and that's pulling in. But the thing is, scroll into view. Oh, I know why. It is working. It's just that you can't see. This is based on the height, the offset of how much of the actual item is in view. So we did do it right. It's just that I'm thinking of it differently. So what's happening is now when the whole, and we can see this if we simply remove, simplest way to see it is remove that class. Just put 2 on. So now as you scroll up, you can see it's there. It hasn't faded in yet. So it'll fade in once it's 100% in view. So there. Not when what I was looking at was the fact that the this section here is, you know, 1v8 to 100% of the view. So I was expecting it to kind of be once we are, you know, all the way down here. And you can do that if you wanted to fade in the section instead. But we've got it fading in based on the height of this, you know, when this whole thing is in. So if you wanted it to fade in later, you could do like 300%, you could go further. And then you go down, and then, you know, you never reach 300% there. So that's working. And there you go, that's near the end. So you can now use that value if you want to adjust when it fades in. And by default, it will fade in when 25% of the item itself is visible. So I hope that kind of makes sense of what's going on there. So let's get back to what we were doing. We will put that back in. So now it will fade in as normal. So there we go, that's that. Now I don't like this. This is a bit too bold, I think, based on the Photoshop file. So let's just go and fix that. It's a nice little one. That will be in, collapse that a minute, the SAS DNA settings. So the other thing I noticed here, we have font weights we've set specifically, which we could do, but then I had another thought, why don't we just make use of the existing names built into CSS? which are, I believe, lighter. Normal would be normal. Bold would be bold. Black would be, I think it's called bolder. And then default one, I think we'll go to normal for this font. For the headings, we don't want bold headings, that's the point. So we change those weights there, and then all we have to do is match up now the actual fonts we make use of, which is in Quicksand in our case. So now where we specify regular font weight is now normal, and then here now, so the medium font we will make into, I think, the bold font. So change the 500 weight now to bold. The bold font now can be the bolder, like the black almost, if you will, and the light can now be what's called the lighter. So those two now match up, and then with that in, I think the heading should already be thin now. So there we go. So now we've got the heading back to thin. So that's also changed that, so that looks a lot nicer now. So now we can get on to actually making the rest of the site. So let's start with this one, which is practically the same as this one. So we'll do a copy and paste of that to start with. So we just go to the my name, press Shift Alt and F as well first to just format this document so it's structured. We will copy and paste this section now, get rid of that extra space. And this one will be called, what will it, also known as. So we'll just say also known as, and then we can change the class name as well to also known as. Still a container single, all that's the same. We still want it to fade in the same style, so that stays completely the same. And the only real difference is we will change the header to say I'm also known as. And then in there we will now have, instead of a H1, we'll just use a div. And in the div, we will have an image. And the source here now, instead of specifying sources directly in the in here, you know, like going assets, blah blah blah, we'll use a variable. So we'll do images dot logo text, say, and then we will go up to the top for now. I'll just chuck it in here, and then we'll, in fact, no, I won't bother chucking it in here. I'll actually make a class. So we'll do new file underscore variables dot .html, and then here we'll do a DNA web variables bracket, and then to do that you do data, caps locked on, data, and variable name equals images dot logo text, I believe we called it, and the value, and I'm going to probably change this to JSON format, but for now it's what it is, / assets / images / I think it was logo text .png. Save variables in the header for, I think we use header everywhere, or shall we just include it? No, let's include it as a variables, and I presume that should build, and we should actually see an image saying that. Yeah, so we've got the image in there. Now we want to center this text, make it bigger, and just like this, I'll probably have a little shake on the image itself. So we will want to go to the actual style, close the variables, header we don't need, settings done, animating done, home. Right, so the style I did for the first one, my name is, really we can change that to all sections on the home page, because this is the home, so we're only going to include this style in the home page. So for every section, because that's what these are, the sections, so we'll just tag it all as a section. Background color the same, the header can be the same height, centered text, large text. You know, we can make that all a default. This mark we will move out of the way. That mark is the white text here, so we've made it white because the header by default is that color. That's not a standard. That's not like, the normal for everywhere, if you will. That's just specific to that one thing. So let's just remove it for now, save so all sections have that style, and let's see what happens. So now you get the default mark, which will then reapply the style. But now this one's now gained all the default style, which is large centered header text, which is, what we're going to do, because most of the design, if we look at our Photoshop file, is large text centered. So we want to keep that kind of style shared throughout, and that's what we've done there. We have the header. We will want to now make, I think, all the headers, because bar that one, we have, well, no, to be honest, all the headers are different colors, so we can style them separately, I guess. Yeah, because that will, so we'll look at the colors a second. I think this one through. So 6 is that, 2 is the default. No, we'll leave that bit there. So the header there, oh, there's the other bit that's also specific to this header. The headers aren't default that color, we set it here. So let's remove that from there. And there we go, now we get the white headers. So now that's a more standard header. So then we will just specifically restyle my name is, and we'll do that, then just apply the styles we actually need to the specific one, which straight away is the header and H1 that's in there, and we'll plonk that color back in. And because it's only one thing, we'll chuck it on one line. That should bring back in the header color for that, and then we want to restyle the mark. The mark I'll come back to, because we're going to use that throughout all the other parts of the pages. So I'll make that a more generic style. So you have our general section, each section in the home page. They all get the same dark background color, text inside centered, large font. Then that one gets that style. And now we'll also have the, let's go to the also known as section. I want this image to shake. So it's going to be the only image in that section. So I'll just do also known as. We can make use of the, and then image. You want the, specifically the image. Make use of the existing one we've got, which we've done for the header, which is a shake class. Shake the large logo. Save that and let's check that out. So they fade in, that fades in, that fades in. And now on hover, that shakes because we're using the same style. So it just adds a bit of something to the page so it's not as boring. We'll go back to now the next section in Photoshop, which is as I develop software and hardware. So we'll copy this section again. And we'll do I develop, I guess. And then we'll make another class called I develop. And you can see how easy this starts becoming once we've got these styles. It's kind of copy and paste and just fill the content in, and you get the same kind of setup. So this will be a header and I develop software and hardware is the header, and then inside that we'll just have a paragraph, and we can open up the Photoshop file, press text, change this font for now, we don't care, copy that, paste that, and Control Alt F to bring it onto inline, if you will. It hasn't done a great job, I want it smaller than that. Just so it's visible. Then do we have, that's all in one line. That one will be mark because we want it to be colored. And then we save that. Let's just have a look at that. So we get there, also known as I develop hardware software. So now this text is in, we'll style this mark after. We want that font to be bigger as well. So if we go back to the style and we'll do the .I develop the header again where the main content is. I develop header. We want the main header and the paragraph as well, or the paragraphs. Firstly, to space out a bit more because they're quite condensed there. So we'll do a margin of, and then we'll match the font size of the header so that it looks equally spaced, basically. We want the top and bottom margin, but we don't want left and right, so we'll put 0 as the left and right. And we save that, and we should get the spacing. There we go. And then again so let's just comment this, match spacing between headers and paragraphs. And in fact, that will probably work the same for all areas. Again, standard. So let's move that, in fact, into, and that'll be totally standard. We don't need to do anything. Move that into the general section area. And in fact, it was in the header. So let's just chuck it in the header area. Then again, as standard for everywhere, every section, instead of making that font just bigger in this one, I'm pretty sure in all sections, this homepage has got this kind of big style about it. So make all header paragraphs larger font. So we'll do paragraph style, larger spacing. So we'll do some line height of 1.5 just to space the text out more than default. Larger font. So font size, font larger. Let's give that a go. So we have this section, this one. Oh, and that's nicer now. So now we get a big, just again, chunky size. This will also obviously be fully mobile responsive because we've already done that in, that's how this thing's been built. So now you can scroll naturally, kind of all just still works. It's all styles and, it's really a nice size. So I'm happy with that. Let's go over to the next part, copy and paste. Think about what did we have? I know we just had another paragraph. So another paragraph for the other one. And copy this. Then same again, just bring it in line, Shift Alt and F rather, for formatting the document. I do that continuously. Put a mark on the hardware as well, which we want to style. And I think one of them will have to do an alternate style though, because the Photoshop file has 2 different colors there. So by default, I'll probably have this color as the default mark style. So we'll make this one have a class of alternative. And then we'll put that in, again, keep it in the fabric because it's a general thing. We can style it with the theme. I think the theme should have the style. So in the theme, we will put a mark style, default style for marks. We'll get rid of that background color that was normalized. So in our design, we want just transparent, no background color, and instead we'll have a foreground color that matches our theme. So foreground color of the theme's bright color, and that will be color 2. And then we'll make an alternate mark, and that will just have color of the alternate color of 3, isn't it? That's the secondary color. Secondary theme color for alternative mark. And I think that should again now just work. So that one's now got rid of the style, and that's become a mark of this color, which will fix because this is a specific one that we want to change to the, invert it, if you will. So we'll sort that out. Also known as, and now we have the two colored marks, so the alternative and the regular. So that now looks like the Photoshop file. So let's just fix this mark here. So for that, because it's specific to really that style, that homepage section, the My Name Is, we'll specifically style the marks in there. So we can break this off to header, go into a class, can be there. Header is, in fact, break that off again. Header is bright color. Bright theme color. Mark inside here is bright neutral color. And this will be the mark color. And it's color 6, I believe, is the bright neutral color. And so long as the order of importance is maintained, there we go. We've now got that having the white. So now you get the white, you scroll down, you get your little hover, then the text fades in. So that's another step done. So now we've got, let's take a look. And again, the Photoshop file, as you can see, I haven't done that style. I haven't put the TM on there yet. This is, you use your Photoshop as a general thing. You don't follow it exactly. So like, things are slightly different, but in general, the site looks the same. So this is the site I'm happy with. You don't have to go verbatim here. I just did this to start getting a feel for what the website's going to have. And now this was like the ending part. But I think we'll chuck some info in the middle of this because this isn't enough yet. So let's start with the ending part, I guess. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to chuck something else in there. So we'll go back to here. As usual, copy and paste the section. And we'll call this one, Are You Still Reading? Are you still reading? Containers the same. We'll shake up header 1. And what I'm going to do is just get rid of this. Get rid of this. So that's kind of a blank section. I'm going to paste a couple above because I'll probably add a few. And then we'll come back to them now they're cleaned up. So if we'll leave them in. That just means we'll have a bunch of blank stuff, but we'll come back in a minute. Are you still reading? So the header there here is going to be, are you still here? Question mark. And we had, again, I don't like this. This, you got a button here, and this is going to be a clickable thing, but it's not a button. So I'm going to have that button style there. And also read my life story. I'm instead going to have like an about page, I think. So we'll just have an anchor with a class of button, so it's styled like a button. And in the anchor, we'll then have the href you need. And again, for this, we want, there's a point. Where did the variables go for the header? Top menu. Oh, I didn't do the link yet, that's why. I was going to say we haven't got any. We'll also move these into variables. So logo flat can be images.logo flat. And we will chuck that into variables. Logo flat. That goes in there, save that. Top menu is a partial file, so you don't need to include the variables. The master index page will do that. The href there should also be earls.home, I guess. And then we'll add earls into here as well. Well, that's a / so we don't need to copy and paste that. And you can name these whatever you want, but this is just, I'm coming up with this kind of convention. And then you can see it's much easier in your website to you know, edit where things are instead of getting into the HTML. So we're going to have a blog. We're going to have YouTube. We're going to have too many menus here. SolidWorks. So let's just remove that one. I'm just going to have too many. Contact. And then we'll have the now About Me page. So that'll be About Me. If we add all those to here, About Me, blog, then YouTube, SolidWorks, and then Contact. So we can make use of all those URLs now. That also means I can use the About Me page URL. I can't remember why I come into this menu here. So this href now can be the About Me reference. And in here, oops, we'll have the button saying continue reading more, or continue reading here or something. We'll do something with that. Let's see what that looks like. Then we'll have the other header that says, or maybe you need my help. Question mark. Then we've got a paragraph for that. We have websites, products, training of teaching. That will do. And then we have again the button. Copy and paste that. And this will be contact me. So that'll be the contact in the same style. So I think that's the actual HTML structure. Check everything's saved. Yep. So it's built. We've got that page, got that bit, got that bit. We'll have a bunch of blanks. And then we've now got this. So are you still here? Need some color because it's not the right color. Continue reading, then we need the button styles. That's already the right size, I'd say. So we need to just color these two headers and make the button style. So if we go to, I think we're done with the variables for now. Go to the home page and we'll say, are you still reading? Are you still reading? I think we've called it Are You Still Reading, or was it Are You Still Here? Yeah, Are You Still Reading, we did that. So there's the class for that, and then we'll have the header ones, but this time we'll have the, we've only got two, so we can just do first of type, I think we'll do. Yeah, first of type and then last of type. And we'll set that color to, the first one is to the secondary color. First header is second theme color. And the second header is first theme color. So that will be last of type and color 2, I think. And if we look at that, scroll down, that didn't work whatsoever. So we've done something wrong there. Oh, are you still reading header? Because I've done the, you know, a child within. So we want the are you still reading, just to get this general area, then jump right the way to the header and then find the first header ones and header, well yeah, the first header ones. So now we should have, there we go. So I think that matches the Photoshop, yep. So now we just need to style the buttons, that'll turn into a button. And again, for the button, it's a general style for, I guess, this modern one in general. So I'm just going to chuck it in this file for now. And we'll do an anchor.button. So always be as specific as you can on your styles. Don't just say .button in case you then want another style of a button on a different type of element. So always keep your CSS like as specific as you can be, like to only apply to certain elements. So I want larger fonts, font size font larger, want the border 1 pixel solid, color 3, the bright color, border radius, and that can be the spacing normal to match the, the sizing that we use in the whole framework to keep the consistency and spacing and stuff. Same with padding inside. Side button. So I'll have padding all around, and it'll be the spacing normal again. And let's have a look at that. Go to the end. So that's not far off. Now we need to style these anchors. So we want the text color bright neutral. So it looks like a normal button to start with. Color 6. And then extend the focus, which is hover and focus. So it looks like the normal anchors. And for that we'll use the bright. Why is that not? What's that moaning about? Oh, so it's not extend, it's include. Bright secondary color to match the button, which is 3. So now we should get, hopefully, a button. There we go. So that style's not bad. Nice and easy. So now, as I mentioned, we've got the home page. We have just a splashy intro thing where people just go, oh, that's nice. Scroll down, they start getting introduced. My name's Luke. I'm also known as. And then I develop software and hardware. And this is really just a very short and blunt statement. But then the next thing I'd say, oh, you're still there, but you haven't really read much. So I'll chuck in 2 more little statements here, because they can always go to about and blog and stuff. But let's at least put a few things in here. So I'm going to put in like a learn page, because obviously I do these YouTube videos. So I might as well chuck that in there. So this one can be, we'll say, learn for free. I'll do the style the same, learn for free. And then we'll have a header that says the same thing, learn for free. And we'll do, if you want to get some free knowledge and learn software development or other things I know, I freely give, I'll put that on a new line, I freely give away my knowledge on my, and then link to earls.youtube, YouTube channel. And I think that's it. So we'll take a look at the page, also known as software, blah, blah, and then learn for free. That's just a nice little statement again. All this nice space around keeps it really clean and uncluttered. So then people are more likely to focus on the little statement, as opposed to it just being a lot of text and people not wanting to read. This kind of spaces everything out and adds a bit of colour and action and change in general, so people feel like they still want to read. So that's that section. We'll add one more, and I'll just put hire me. So when I get, the time, I, help people, but obviously people that want more professional help for business or paid hire, then obviously you can contact me as well. So this will be hire me, and that's it. And then here you can put hire me. We'll have paragraph again. I do contracted work, offer training, guidance. Probably change these bits, but in general, let's just put something in there. Guidance on projects, or even complete projects from scratch. Another little header. If you want to hire me, comma, another link, and this will be earls.contact again. Contact me and we can work something out. So nice and informal, but that's, you know, all you need. Save that, refresh. So this should be the page really. The home page I'm pretty happy with. So we scroll down. Hi, my name is Luke. I'm also known as a little thingy. So this brings a bit of colour straight away from the text. So you've started with some cool stuff. You've been told my name. Then you instantly get a bit more colour. So you keep scrolling. And then it starts. Now they really want to know something. So you can hit them with a bit of, you know, bump. So it's not huge, but it's enough that they should read. And then they scroll down and now they're hit with something that's like positive again. It's all learn for free, something interesting. And then the people that are actually further interested will then carry on reading to the higher me. So we kind of structure it in that flow, if you will. And again, I've just separated these to clean sentences. And then you scroll down, are you still here? Continue reading here, which will take them to the about page, and I can fill in more details there. Or maybe you need help, website, product, in case they're thinking about something in their head, like I want to review websites or products or apps. So even though we've mentioned things, the short statements are what people will read. So continue reading will go to about, which if we hover, it should say that, yep, and that should also match. And the contact me is contact, so all the links are working. And then I think the last thing on this page is this little footer here, which we can add, which will just be the logo again at probably a max width. So let's just chuck that footer in. So the footer really will be a section, I guess. We've got the header, footer. So the footer of every page can be footer class, call it footer. Everything else is the same, single big column. We're happy with that. We'll slide up. In fact, we don't want the slide up thing. We don't want it animating in. The footer should just be there. Header, we don't have a header. We more likely have the image because we have the Angel 6 image logo text. So we don't want it shaking either. So again, we can just chuck the image in directly. And what else do we have? We have image and then copyright. So I'll have that. And then just copyright Angel 6 Limited. I don't think we need a link there. It can just be as is. The ampersand for the copy, I can't remember. I think it's just and copy, I think. Then we have Angel 6 Limited. Logo text. Now this will be too big because it'll be massive. So we'll probably want to put either a fixed size on it, which I think we will. We'll have like a fixed width of maybe, yeah, I think we'll do like a fixed width. So in that case, actually, we could squash this into a column because that'll always be smaller. So instead of it just being a col, we can have col 1/6, I think it is, like that. Scroll down, and we haven't got the dark background yet, but whoa, that's big. Obviously that's not the that's not the name of the column, because then we have width there. Oh yeah, you don't put column from here. Oh, col 1/6. And in fact, we should just probably chuck back in the template, which was in fabric sample grid. Oh, we just look in here actually. But yeah, let's just chuck back that in so I can have a look and pick what we want. So before the true footer, let's just chuck in include fabric sample grids. I think that should find fabric include file not found fabric sample grids. do I... Oh yeah, fabric dot sample grids. Oh, up one folder, because the thing is inside. There we go. It's always the simple things. Right, so let's take a look at where we wanted this footer to be. So we want a centered column, single centered one. So we have centered here. So let's take a look, and we probably want it about this big, maybe. So inspect, and then obviously we'll have it responsive. So we'll put in a grid horizontal center, which is to do footer, footer, footer. There we go. So we'll have grid horizontal center, and then we'll have 1/4, so it simply centers. And we'll do a responsive one. So we have things like these have specific responsive ones. So below desktop, below laptop, below tab. So I'd say probably below tablet, we'd want then one. Oh, let's make it. I don't know whether I want to make it the whole. Let's start with that. Let's see. So now we have. Is it at the bottom of this? So there we go. So we're still not quite there yet. We'll do background red. Let's take a look. So we're within the grid, which is fine. The size, not too bad actually. But obviously we've got a huge spacing from the original style. So let's remove. And that won't be in that style, it'll be in the main modern one, because it's just the footer style. And we'll have, what did we put in there? Section.footer. So this will be section.footer. And we'll have the P in there to have margin 0. Let's just see what that looks like first. And in fact, we can now just remove the sample grid so it's not in the way. Go to the bottom, see here, we've also got a thing going on, because it's a section, we have the container padding. So to be honest, we either, oh, hang on, it's because we put container in. Let's get rid of container from the footer. We don't want that. And then we've got the end, there we go. So just make the background of this a minute of color as well so we can visualize easier. So just section.footer background red. And go to the end. So there you can see the footer. So we need a bit of padding top and bottom. So we'd have padding, and again, make sure we keep using the spacing normal, top, bottom, nothing left and right. In fact, we probably still want it left and right for when we're on mobile. So let's just make it all. So that's actually not bad there. We resize and go to the bottom, and that font's a bit big there, and that gets a bit small. So when you're on mobile, oh, we have also we need to make that more responsive, so we'll do that afterwards, because that's obviously goes a bit too small. I know this is a ridiculously small screen, that wouldn't happen, but we'll still fix these kind of overlays after. So this font we want to make responsive. So we have some padding around footer, dark background, and let's go to the palette. We actually don't have a dark, oh, it is the background, you see. So by default it's blended in because we've kept the background the same this time. So what that means is it would just blend in at the bottom as opposed to having any kind of color. I'm kind of okay with that because this homepage is just all monocolor anyway. So to be honest, I'm not too fussed about that for now. So we won't have dark background. We'll remove the background after. Remove padding from section style. And then the padding size, then the want the responsive one. So for that, we want to do search for media, and we include media desk is how we use those. So we can do include media desk, and then in here we can do font size, font normal, say. So below laptop, we'll start reducing the font size. I think that should now already be, that hasn't kicked in. Move that to that side, bring it out a bit, inspect, and font size 32, it's not kicked in. So is my media wrong? Media query, so where are the media queries? Or we just do below, and let's have a look, anyone using it? We're the only ones using it at the minute. Media query, breakpoints. In fact, I don't know why I'm doing that. It's much easier to just look for it. Settings, Sass, fabric, animation, breakpoints. There we go. So we have below lap. Yeah, so below lap should have worked. So what am I doing wrong here? Oh, that is including. Yeah, I think that should work. Doing something obvious wrong here again. No styles. Does it have to be in the style directly? There we go. Yeah, just put it in the wrong place. I'd done the include, then put it. You know, it needed to be in the P. So that's smaller there. I'd say also the footer below tab. Oh, you can't be below tab. That's mobile. Below laptop, one hole. So once we're below there, we go large. I think we want another step, so by the time we get to even, or do make it bigger, mainly because there's text. I think this text is just a bit too big in general. So we will reduce the font size, and you know, smaller font size, font. I think, to be honest, font normal throughout is probably fine. I don't think we need to adjust that there after all that, because I think it doesn't need to be huge for that. It's just a statement. So there's that. As we go down, then it gets huge there. So we don't want whole. So we'll change that to below lap 1/2. And there we go, that's better. So the biggest then would be, in fact, that is still too big there. So that breakpoint below lap, so lap 1, 1/3, say. Oh, so that's desktop. I think we're at. Oh, because we started at a quarter, I actually made it bigger with a 1/3. 1/6, and then 1/2 maybe. Quarter, smaller, bigger. It's kind of going. That doesn't make sense actually. It's going big, smaller, bigger. Yeah, so not quite right there. We could also just do, which is kind of smarter in a sense, instead of using the grid for this part, we could just make this column specifically a width of the viewport, like 1/3 of the width of the viewport with a max width. But then when you're big, no, we'll stick with grids. So messing around with this, we have full screen as a quarter, and that's fine. So that isn't an issue. So what's the issue with where did I put the laptop in there? Where do we have the issue? The issue is when we are going, so that's fine, that's fine. It's this snap point coming up that we then, that's too big at that point, so we're changing too soon. So below laptop, 1/2 is too soon. So what we want is tablet 1/2, probably mobile, well, mob 1/2. Or rather, that is the same thing, isn't it? So below laptop, 1/2 is too much. So that's all we needed to do. 1/3. There we go. So there is a nice footer. That seemed a lot more work than it should have been. Never mind. So now we remove the background. Comment on remove section margin style. And now we should have the completed homepage. So scroll through, got all the effect on that, got all the text, learn for free, hire me, still there, continue reading, contact me, and there's the bottom of the page, which I actually quite like. Now it's all blended in. So I'm quite happy with that, to be honest. So if we press F11, go full screen, and just refresh. Oh, it wasn't refresh. So this guy fades in. You got a nice little header here that shakes. You got all this effect going on. Scroll down, nice clean text, big logo, bit of description, learn for free, hire me, still there, and then a little head, little footer. So I think that'll do us for the homepage. And you can see from this, as we are growing it, the more you grow it, the less work you have to do in terms of it's a lot of just then copy and pasting and tweaking because you've got your pre-built styles. One thing I think I want to do with DNA Web, and this is up for debate or question if you like, so if you've got opinions on this, let me know. I know as much as I do with DNA Web, I keep everything still just HTML. So even though we're typing here and it's injecting stuff for us, we're still handling HTML. Because that's what I always said was the problem with other frameworks is you're never actually writing HTML. They start messing with the language and you're writing, completely different styles of things, and then you lose the kind of point of HTML. You still need to be at the level where you can type in HTML. I'm all for that. But what you can see here, and that's kind of driving me nuts already, is copy and pasting of section, class, repeated classes, class wrapper, then a grid, then a col, then a header. And really all this, I'd prefer to probably wrap in some kind of DNA Web thing we can do. So maybe, I don't know, DNA colon, and then we make a control name. So this could have been called single col or something, I don't know. Or home column. Column. I don't know, anything like that, say. And then that would inject section, class, blah, blah, blah. And you could have then, similar to WPF, then you could say class is hire me. And this would be presumed, because we've already made say this control would be made, and it would be this HTML, but we'd like replace this with, in the template section, this with sort of $, class, $, and then wherever they put class here, it injects here. That kind of setup. I think you're following me. I should hope you're following me. And then all you'd end up with is this class. It'd already presume that stays the same, that stays the same, that stays the same. This whole thing here could be injected based on a Boolean. So you could say slide in up equals true, as simple as that. And then you'd either get that or you wouldn't. And then this bit's really your content. This is the thing that's changing. So then this would close out. And then here you would have this. And that's kind of what I'm thinking. So that then when you've got a bunch of boilerplate stuff that you're cloning, you can bring it into a nice clean thing like that. And then say you wanted to change this layout or change the style, you don't have to go through every single one. But you're still really in HTML. It looks like HTML. You've got the content in there. And this DNA home column would just be this thing defined here with a bunch of, like, the content there would then be, $, content. Or it'd be, because it's a special one, maybe DNA colon content sort of thing in the template that you make. But all that's, whatever we want. But just generally, I'm wondering what you guys think about that, because I think that'd be a really cool feature. And then going forward, it'd clean up this HTML more, but without you losing HTML. It's still there to just be in a template file, but you can start making controls and templates of known things, so you can, you know, inject them this way, as we're doing here, much easier. So hopefully this video was useful. It was basically mostly unplanned. I was simply going for it this time and working a way through. That's why it's kind of been you just see me working and figuring stuff out, but I always think a video like that every now and then is also just as helpful. Instead of it being pre-trained, if you will, and I've done a bit of prep work and stuff, so you see the clean-cut versions. These videos are more like the, you know, completely unplanned, let's just go for it, but I like to do them every now and then so you get a feel for mainly just how my brain works and how it solves the problems, how I think of things, you know, the constructive side. So apologies if it was a bit, you know, me babbling on a bit and not focusing, but at the same time, you know, I kind of think they're also useful in the videos. So we've got the homepage now. We should be able to go through these other pages pretty quickly because we've, like I say, started to build up the framework and the structure. And then I'll show you how to publish this website. And obviously we'll carry on with the WPF and web server videos as well. But hopefully this one was useful. And I think we just needed to get back onto this website to get it moving again. So you stay familiar with HTML on that. So as usual, any comments, questions, let me know in the comments below.